We are now starting to demonize each other and our history.
Today's leaders are hampered by social media.
Expect more, and then the standard of politician will increase.
We have not benefited one iota out of our relationship with America.
What we've seen, the change has happened is this. We are now starting to demonize each other and our histories. And there is a log where you are branded an oppressor or oppressed or a victim or a victimizer.
I'm watching a migration from the cities, from traditional Australians or white Anglo-Saxons or whatever you want to call them in a non-racist way, to the countryside. And this country getting divided into sectors and...
Well, you can say that's already happened in London. You can say that's already happened in LA. There's a well-documented demographic concept called white flight. And it had started in America, where whites just left the inner cities to the point where San Francisco is like it, and they leave behind. So they take a lot of the tax base with them, and they move out to wherever they move to the outer suburbs where they can replicate as closely as they can their childhood. And London is now 31% Anglo-Celtic, 69% non-English born overseas, however you want to view that, multicultural. So I believe Sydney and Melbourne, if they're not already there, become Asian super cities, like Singapore, where only the wealthy can pay the taxes there and live, and then you have satellite cities for the working class who are coming in and doing the service.
Right, and if you look back to great political leaders that we have, you go back to Bob Hawke, John Howard, Paul Keating, you go back many years, right? And these guys stood for something. They had a vision. John Howard was all about getting the GST in. Keating was about the four banks policy. Hawke was about stopping all the strikes and creating consensus and getting us, focusing on work. And I haven't done any of those leaders justice in my examples. You come forward and look at today's leaders, and I think today's leaders are hampered by social media, and what they say is publicised like that. So every P and Q, they're trying to be politically correct and keep everybody happy.
I would say our most dangerous and attractive asset is under fire by people, by dog whistling about racism. But we also have to be open to concerns like Europe, like America, like everywhere. If people feel overrun and their lives are going bad, anyone, anywhere is going to scapegoat what they believe is the source.
And I think we need as a collective to hold politicians to account, and vice versa. Politicians need to be honest, authentic, and hold themselves to account. It's like, this is what I'm going to do for you. I want to make sure that we have a vision here and everyone is behind that vision. So the best form of leadership is when everyone knows the vision and what we're working towards.
I can remember many a politician that said, we should be the food bowl for Asia. We should be looking at pumping water into the center of the country and growing crops and fertilizing that land and supplying Asia with the food. Hey, stand for something, have a crack. But what's the only one thing that I can think of in the last decade that's been put up is the nuclear plants as an alternative to solar.
Yeah, and there's a huge debate on this.
There's a huge debate, and I don't know what's right or what's wrong, but hey, at least they're standing for something and putting up an alternative. I think that's healthy. But let's do it more on helping our economic strength.
You mentioned Asia, and obviously Asia plays a major role also in Australia specifically. But are we doing enough just to build this strong relationship with Asia, or do we need a strong relationship with Asia?
I think we're part of Asia, and I think we absolutely need a strong relationship with Asia. And if you look at the damage we did to our own economy with the tussle that we had with China, lobsters and wine and all things being banned from China's side. And I'm not saying China were right or wrong. I'm saying that you could see how easily a superpower could affect our economy, affect key segments of industry within the business. We are part of Asia, and we need to respect that we are part of Asia and work more. It's a wonderful market. Look at the population in some of these countries. It's a great opportunity for us.
So the question about what is Australia's position in Asia is not valid anymore. Do we have to look for other questions on where is Asia? Where is Australia in Asia?
It will be one of the great trading partners. It will be as an educator of middle-class Asian kids because they respect our unit. But we're going to have a two-tier country, and out in the provinces, out in the regions, will be a more traditional Anglo-Celtic. Like, people laugh at Queensland, but Queensland is really a holdout of the old Aussie culture, and they get mocked and vilified. But I don't think mocking the host culture and denigrating the host culture anywhere in the great multicultural experiment ends. Like, we're buying submarines that aren't ready until 2036. I mean, that feels like the most absurd decision. Hey guys, can you all halt your invasions, whatever's coming or whatever they're being bought for? Can you hold on until 2036 till we're ready? That's a decision that, if migrants were in charge, they probably wouldn't have made.
Australia's manipulated so badly. It's because of these ties with America that have gotten stronger, but not to our advantage. And I know people in intelligence, in high levels of politics in Australia. We have not benefited one iota out of our relationship with America. Our relationship in America, just one example. Last year, or 2 years ago, the Australian government cancelled the agreement with France for the submarines, the $33 billion agreement.
Yeah, I would do the same.
What did they do in exchange? They signed a $360 billion agreement with America and Britain for frickin' submarines. What do we need? $360 billion. The Australian people just got screwed massively. What the hell is that?
You mentioned democracy in Australia. What do you rate the level of democracy in Australia in comparison to everywhere else? Like, out of 10, what would you give democracy in Australia?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Democracy is not perfect. However, I think it's a really great way of everyone in that country having a say, and the fact that democracy is voting is mandatory in Australia. I think everyone should be leveraging that and making their vote count. Not just voting because you're going to get a fine. Actually, I encourage everyone, do some research.
Let's admit that Anglos are still controlling the politics of Australia, and they're changing directions. And
they're the largest. They're the largest voting bloc. I think anywhere in the world, if you have the largest voting bloc, you're still going to be like, we're buying submarines that aren't ready until 2036.
Do some research on who's actually running. Understand what the policies that they're running for, what changes they want to make, what is their, and most importantly, what career or experience are they going to bring to that role. I think it's your responsibility to expect more from those that are representing you. Expect more, and then the standard of politician will increase.
I think the politicians of today get pulled around by the special interest groups, and they're more focused on those than really the greater.
are we on?